Have you ever wondered about a spiritual path so powerful it could bridge huge divides, create brand new forms of music and poetry, and just capture the hearts of millions across a vast, incredibly diverse subcontinent? Well, that's the story of Sufism in India. It's a journey of divine love that literally reshaped a culture. Let's dive in and see exactly how it all happened.
It's a pretty fascinating question, isn't it? I mean, this isn't just about a new belief system showing up. It's about a dynamic, living conversation between cultures, a fusion of some really profound ideas, and honestly, the birth of something entirely new. This is the story of how a mystical path found a home in one of the most diverse places on Earth, and in doing so, it transformed both itself and its new home forever.
So, to even begin to answer that question, we first need to get to the heart of this mystical tradition. What exactly is Sufism? What is this so-called path of divine love?
Okay, so at its core, Sufism is the mystical heart of Islam. It's less about rigid external rules and way more about a deeply personal, internal journey. You see, the ultimate goal isn't just to follow the law, but to actually experience the divine directly, through this overwhelming sense of love, this profound devotion, and a real, radical commitment to serving other people.
And you know, the name Sufi itself gives us a huge clue about its origins. It most likely comes from the Arabic word for wool, which is suf. The earliest mystics would wear these coarse woolen garments, not because they were comfortable, but as a powerful symbol. It was an outward sign of their rejection of worldly luxury, a statement about their inner commitment to humility and the spiritual path.
Now, the Sufi journey isn't just some random wandering. It's a structured path, a spiritual roadmap called the tariqah. It all begins with Sharia, which is the outer discipline of Islamic law. That's the foundation. But from there, the path turns inward, to the spiritual practices that eventually lead to Haqiqah, the ultimate truth. And the final destination? Marifa, a state of direct divine knowledge. It's this incredible journey from the outer shell all the way to the inner pearl.
So we have this deeply personal, mystical path. The big question is, how did it travel all the way to India? And what was it about India that allowed it to just flourish so profoundly there?
Well, Sufism first arrived in India around the 11th and 12th centuries, often coming in the wake of Turkish and Afghan armies. But here's the interesting part. While it might have arrived with conquerors, it truly took root and just blossomed during the time of the Delhi Sultanate. And its influence didn't stop there. It continued as a major spiritual and cultural force through the entire Mughal period. This was no passing trend. We're talking about a centuries-long transformation.
So why did it connect so deeply with people? Well, there were a few key factors that made it almost irresistible. Its message was simple and emotional. It went straight to the heart. It was also radically inclusive. It welcomed absolutely everyone, no matter their caste. It found a natural echo in India's own Bhakti devotional traditions. And maybe most crucially, the Sufi saints spoke the languages of the people and built these charitable hospices called khanqahs, which became real centers of community and compassion.
But here's something important to remember. Sufism wasn't a monolith. It was a really diverse movement, organized into different orders, or silsilas, and each one had its own unique flavor and spiritual approach. In India, 4 of these orders became especially influential.
And the differences between them were pretty significant. You had the Chishti order, for example, which was famous for its tolerance and its use of music and worship, and they deliberately kept their distance from political power. Then, in contrast, you had the Suhrawardi, who were more orthodox and had no problem accepting state patronage. The Qadiri were known for their strict discipline and ties to the Mughal elite. And finally, the Naqshbandi really emphasized strict adherence to Islamic law and actively tried to influence rulers.
Of all these different orders, it was the Chishti that truly captured the hearts of the Indian people. Their radical message of universal love, their unwavering service to the poor, and their principled distance from the halls of power, it all made their teachings incredibly powerful and deeply resonant.
This simple yet profound quote from one of the greatest Chishti saints, Nizamuddin Auliya, just says it all. Love all and hate none. It's a message so direct, so universal, that it effortlessly cut across all religious and social divides. Now, the influence of Sufism went way beyond the purely spiritual. It wove itself into the very fabric of Indian society, creating a vibrant and enduring culture of connection that you can still feel today.
2 key institutions were basically the engines of this connection. First, the khanqah, the Sufi hospice. This wasn't just a monastery. It was a bustling community center for teaching, for charity, for meditation.
And then you have the Dargah, the tomb of a revered saint, which became a sacred pilgrimage site, not just for Muslims, but for people of all faiths, a powerful tradition that is still very much alive.
And this culture of connection is just beautifully illustrated in the dialogue between Sufism and the native Bhakti movement. I mean, look at this. Sufism's emphasis on divine love perfectly mirrored the Bhakti focus on personal devotion. Both traditions challenged rigid social hierarchies, like the caste system, and both preached the fundamental equality of all people before God. There were truly two paths walking in the same direction.
This legacy is all around us, in things you can literally still see and hear today. That soul-stirring Qawwali music that can move you to cheers, that was born in Sufi devotional gatherings. The rich lyrical traditions of Urdu and Punjabi poetry are just soaked in Sufi metaphors of love and spiritual longing. The unique architecture of the Dargahs created totally new artistic forms. And you had brilliant figures like Amir Khusro, who were like cultural alchemists, blending Persian, Arabic, and Indian traditions into something entirely new and breathtaking.
So, after all these centuries of history, what is the lasting takeaway from this incredible spiritual journey? Why does the story of Sufism in India still hold such profound meaning for us today?
Ultimately, when you boil it all down, Sufism's legacy is that it acted as a powerful spiritual and cultural glue. It fostered a unique, composite culture that celebrated pluralism. It presented a humanistic, compassionate face of Islam in South Asia, one that prioritized love and service over rigid dogma. It served as a vital bridge between Hindu and Muslim communities, and its imprint on the region's music, its poetry, and its very soul is just undeniable.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most essential thought. The story of Sufism in India isn't just history. It's a powerful testament to how a philosophy of love, tolerance, and service can cross boundaries and build bridges. So as we look at our own often divided world, the question remains pretty urgent. What can we learn from a path that was, and still is, built on the radical power of love?